Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today it's one of my replays and I'm in the St. Vincent, a tier 10 British battleship. I'm on the map Crash Zone Alpha. It's a 4-point domination game, pure tier 10 with a carrier. Which is unfortunate, but I just pummeled the destroyer a little bit, which is pretty nice. So, also side note, I'm using Unsinkable Sam as captain, so any meowing you hear is from the game. Anyway, so St. Vincent. It's a ship that I've just recently unlocked and I haven't played that much yet, but so far I'd say it's a more fun version of a Conqueror. Now, your guns are the guns of a Thunderer, with a little bit less high explosive damage, but the same fire chance. Still pretty good high explosive, mind you. So you have good high explosive, you have good armor piercing, you have very weak armor, like you have only 25mm at your nose, so ships can easily overmatch you. Well, battleships. You do have a super heal, you have a speed boost, defensive fire, which is utterly pointless, like all defensive fires. And you have torpedoes. Well, you have one torpedo on each side, but they can go almost straight forward, and they do a lot of damage. Well, for a single torpedo. So I say this is a more fun Conqueror because, you know, like the Conqueror, you wanna be a little bit more passive at the start, probably be more long range-ish. You can burn anything down if you want to. You can punish broadsides with armor piercing if needed. And look at that, we have a Conqueror on fire. Now we set another fire. Obviously setting Conquerors on fire is satisfying, but you know, it's not gonna do that much because of the super heal. But as you can see, that was an 11k damage salvo with high explosive, and it's at the fire, so yeah. As I said, like the basically Thunderer guns with slightly less high explosive damage per shot. Now anyway, the thing is, if you like play careful at the start, you can be quite effective at longer ranges, sorta, if you're high explosive. And if it ever comes to a brawl or close quarters, the torpedoes can be very nice. With the speed boost you can reposition reasonably. So, remains to be seen how much I'm gonna play, how much I play this ship, because I've never really been into the British battleships. But we'll see. So far it's new and shiny, and oh, the Chimacas was dealt with, nice. Now, I'm gonna use this island as a cover, and you might remember me saying that this is a ship that wants to be more at range early on, and now I'm pushing in like a madman, but that's just me. I do have some cover here though, so there is method to my madness, right? The destroyers have been dealt with. And now I'm here in cover, and I'm not gonna push in just blindly into all of those. The enemy at the A cap is too far away to really be a threat, and those 4 ships, I just engage them in small doses ideally. I'm gonna try to reverse back here a bit and see if I can shoot the Hindenburg. Now, so far I've already, well, done a fair amount of damage, got 3 fires. Obviously we can go with more. I've used 1 heal, maybe a little bit too early, but who knows. I rarely play ships with super heals. And I tend to be rather aggressive. So I know that I have to heal in time, otherwise I'm gonna get ranked. Now, speaking of high explosive, the enemy is also gonna set me on fire here. Which is fine. Well, it's 2 fires, I could just damage count those. And I'm currently loading armor piercing, because, you know, this Hindenburg is... well, it's in the process of turning. I'm not actually sure how much it will turn. Still some fair damage right there. Overall, our Sherman is finally going to take the sea cap that has been up for grabs the entire time. The enemy team isn't like doing much so far, other than sitting in the back and, well, hugging each other, I guess. What else is to note about the St. Vincent? It's a curious turret layout because you have 3 in the front, but not like any sumo or such. because one is behind this tower. And honestly, the middle turret can't turn forward. So if you switch from like the left side to the right side, the turret has to go through an entire rotation, which makes the middle turret kind of awkward. The turret traverse is pretty decent, but with the awkwardness of the middle turret, it takes that one a while to turn. Well, and there is a double fire in the Burgonia, which is getting damage done. So, yeah, honestly, if you are into things like a Conqueror, you probably feel at home in the St. Vincent. Now, this was a bit of an early heal there, honestly, considering that it's a super heal. Meanwhile, the Conqueror keeps pushing in, and this is where I could use my torpedoes, right? So, and as you can see here, now you can see the angles. You can almost launch straight ahead, but it's one torp per side. But that one torp hits for, I think, like 29,000 damage. So they are even harder hitting than a Shimakaze. Now I'm going to switch to armor piercing because the Conqueror is getting more and more in a position where I could get those juicy citadels. The one torp may or may not be on target. Let's launch another one. Because why not? And the Conqueror has also switched to armor piercing. Now it could go through my nose. But, you know, it's just gonna sink right now. No citadels, but there wasn't any need for it. And I'm getting very low on health, but I almost have another super heal ready. So that's nice. Now there's a Burgonia coming towards my right, which I can try to accept with a torpedo. Now I'm just going for concealment here, right? Because I'm getting very low on health and I definitely need that heal, but thankfully it's a super heal, so I can recover quite a bit here. Which I really should be pressing right now. There we go. Now here goes the torp that's snaking its way towards the Burgonia. The torp range is 10 kilometers, so it's slightly out of range, but obviously it's gonna stay a little bit closer here. Got armor piercing loaded. Now unfortunately I'm relatively broadside myself here. So not the best salvo against the Burgonia. But I have my own Burgonia going in now. And I got lucky with the return fire. So we are still fine. The next salvo is hopefully going to sink it. Now I wish I had high explosive. It's one of those ships where you probably want to consider the captain's skill for shell switching. I don't think I have that right now because obviously this was my second battle in this ship, right? So I'm still getting used to it and trying to figure out how to best play and spec it. For now I've just gone for a basic tank build. Now here I'm gonna try to go around and get a crossfire in the Burgonia. I'm undetected again, and if the Burgonia lives long enough I will be able to shoot its broadside. Well, it did not live, I guess. Well, this game is pretty won, so now comes the time to charge in, which is not something you usually want to do in this ship. But hey, why not? The enemy team has spent most of its time just running away. And you know, I'm charging two Conquerors in Mecklenburg and Hindenburg while being on low health, but as I said, this game is basically over, so I don't care if I sink here. Our team is gonna win this regardless. I've got a nice citadel into the Hindenburg, and I'm getting on very low health, but I do have a super heal, so we just gonna recover there. Now the next salvo should hopefully finish off the Hindenburg. I've already switched to explosive because I expect to be shooting the Mecklenburg soon, and my salvo missed. Wasn't that well aimed on my part, I guess. Well, it's okay. We can finish off the Hindenburg right now. Well, hopefully. And they all missed. This time, I think RNG takes the blame. Okay, next salvo towards the Hindenburg, and it still lives. Oh, well, Hindenburg is somebody else's problem. Let's go after the Mecklenburg. So I still got a high explosive salvo. Maybe I should have already been loading armor piercing here, because soon I'm gonna see its broadside. Yeah, armor piercing would be very handy right here, but as you can see, I knocked out his torp launcher, which is nice, and you can see massive damage with those torps. But with that torp. Now the Mecklenburg is gonna torp in return because he repaired his torps, but I still have one myself, and now we're gonna trade, which is perfectly fine with me. And with this battle is basically over. Which brings us to the results. So yeah, for me the St. Vincent is basically a more fun conqueror because it has some tools when getting close. I mean, the armor is crap, sure, but having those torpedoes, as you saw in the end, can be hilarious. And you also have good armor piercing, not just good high explosive. So you can sneak in some citadels now and then. So yeah, St. Vincent. So far, decent ship, I think. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you next time.